Yes po.
Okay, so let's continue. Okay. So, actually, in dentistry, those are the antibiotics that normally we need in in our practice, no? And since no, sa dami ba naman with all those antibiotic, tapos konti lang naman, we only have very few cases, so there's really no need for you to use the other antimicrobial agents, no? Kasi sufficient naman yung number or sufficient antibiotics that are available for dental practice. So these are not antibiotic, but more or less antimicrobials. No? So not really, ang tawag dito, they are not antibiotic, but they are classified more as an antimicrobials. Okay, so we have metronidazole, no? Kaya lang, nowadays, di ba, if you look at your sa peryo ata, di ba, and then sabi nila kasi for yung mga the diarrhea, no, ang nire-recommend ng doctor is Flagyl, metronidazole. So this is very good for amoeba. So sa dentist, no, not dental, no, so not really dental. Kaya lang lumalabas pa din to sa board exams.
15 questions.
No? So since review naman tayo, so and then yun na nga, mas madalas to for intestinal flu, no, for GIT problems. So it's classified as very good for amoeba. So iba ang mechanism of action, no? So it causes it's DNA synthesis, and I explained kanina, it's a little bit more toxic kasi nga it affects the DNA, no? And it can affect not only the bacterial cell or the microorganism, but sometimes it can affect the normal cell. So itong madalas na tinatanong with metronidazole, no? So it can cause unpleasant metallic taste, no? It can cause fungal infections, no? And the most signs of fungal infection associated with Flagyl is glossitis, stomatitis, no? And then the black fluid tongue. And then meron siyang alcohol, similar, no, to alcohol effects. They call it the disulfiram reaction, no? Similar to alcohol. Parang lasing yung patient. So there is nausea, flushing, or headache. So parang alcohol intoxication, yun yung mga yun yung madalas na questions that come out sa board exams about metronidazole. And yun nga, parang it's now used for perio in cases of severe perio. It's metronidazole. Okay. Then you have other antimicrobials, no? So you have vancomycin. I included this kasi I saw one board exams. Ang tanong doon, it's antimicrobials that come from Streptomyces orientalis. It's vancomycin. Similar to penicillin. So bactericidal, cell wall, no? And then it could cause what they call a redneck syndrome. Di ba pag syndrome, usually, when you say it's a syndrome, usually mas maraming effects. No? So they call the redneck syndrome. So can be used for SBE, kaya lang we don't normally use it in dentistry kasi nga it's more for IV rather than oral. So ito lang naman yan, siguro. Baka lang lumabas sa board exams. Okay. Pero actually, hindi naman natin to kailangan sa dentistry. And then you have aminoglycol, another broad spectrum antibiotic. Aside from tetra, this is another broad spectrum antibiotic. So it's aminoglycoside. It's a group of group of antibiotic which includes neomycin, streptomycin, gentamicin. Very good for for sore eyes. Nagamit nila to for sore eyes, no? And ang madalas na tinatanong sa board exams, it's antibiotic use for gram-negative infection. Kasi daw, di ba, if you're exposed, if you have to go to the hospital for so long, the type of infection that you get from the hospital is gram-negative infection. So, ang maganda for gram-negative infection is aminoglycoside. It's a broad spectrum. As I've said, usually ang broad spectrum is 30 S subunits. Pag narrow spectrum, usually it's 50 S subunits. And ito yung kanyang these are some of the agents which is under aminoglycoside: neomycin, streptomycin, and gentamicin. Madalas na tanong dito is adverse effect associated with aminoglycoside. It's ototoxicity. It damages the ear, the auditory nerve. So that's one adverse effect associated with aminoglycosides. Okay? Okay. Another antimicrobial is chloramphenicol. Yan. Another broad spectrum, pero 50S subunit siya. It's an exception. It's broad spectrum, pero 50S subunit. It's bacteriostatic. It's the drug of choice for Salmonella typhi, or typhoid fever. And chloramphenicol, parang nowadays, it's only used for typhoid fever. Hindi pa nga ata ngayon Although it's the drug of choice, but it's so toxic, it causes blood dyscrasias. So hindi na siya masyadong ginagamit ngayon. Kasi nga napaka-toxic niya. So it can cause blood dyscrasias, can cause aplastic anemia. So pag aplastic anemia kasi, 'di ba, maraming klase, may hemorrhagic anemia. So ang aplastic anemia ata, you don't produce RBC. Nada-damage kasi yung bone. And one drug which is used for, or can produce that, is chloramphenicol. So nire-reserve ang chloramphenicol for Salmonella typhi. Meron pa rin, pero not often used, and di naman natin kailangan to. So siguro enough that you know it's broad spectrum, protein synthesis, it's static, and it's the drug of choice for typhoid fever, Salmonella typhi. Do you remember na kung ano yung test to determine kung positive ka ng typhoid fever? Sa GenPat ba yun? Di ba there's a test? Pag nag-positive ka, yung Widal, pag positive ka sa Widal test, usually that is a sign of typhoid fever. Kasi may typhoid fever pa rin tayo hanggang usually you get that from water. So ang drug of choice, it's chloramphenicol. Okay. And then you have sulfonamides, So this is competitive antagonism. Iba ang kanyang drug of choice, So sulfonamide compete, kaya it's called competitive antagonism. Sulfonamide compete with the bacteria for folic acid. Just like humans, kailangan mo ng if the mother is pregnant, kailangan ng folic acid. Folic acid is good for the development ng bata, di ba? Pag kulang ka ng folic acid, anong condition? Spina bifida, yung the baby, yung spinal cord ng baby is outside, yung spinal cord is outside the spinal column. They call it bifida, spinal bifida. And usually binibigyan daw yan ng folic acid. Similar to the bacteria requires folic acid. And sulfonamide compete sa folic acid. Instead of the bacteria getting the folic acid, kinukuha yun ng sulfonamide, preventing the bacteria from getting the folic acid. So the bacteria usually easily die. That's the mechanism of action ng sulfonamide. Just like just like penicillin, very toxic. Sorry, it's allergic, no? Especially kapag topical. So, usually used now for urinary tract infections. Okay. Ang usual, di ba, ang advice ng doctor kapag may UTI ka, you drink plenty of water, especially if you're taking sulfa. Drink plenty of water kasi that's one adverse effect associated with sulfonamide is nagpo-form siya ng crystal dun sa urinary tract. So one way of preventing that is you drink plenty of water to prevent the crystals from accumulating in the urinary tract. So pag may UTI ka, drink plenty of water. Okay. And then we have the anti-TB, anti-tuberculosis. This comes in primary, secondary, tertiary agents. 'Di ba ang cephalosporin comes in generation? Anti-TB drugs are classified primary agent, secondary agent, and then tertiary agents. So these are the drugs, no? INH, yung yung meningococcemia. Have you heard of meningococcemia? Dati, di ba, merong meningococcemia. Very contagious, no? May yung son ng friend ko, the only son of my friend, was diagnosed as meningococcemia. Meron daw meningococcemia. So, they had to cremate kasi yata siya tawag dito, highly contagious, no? Ang drug of choice for meningococcemia is Rimactane, rifampin. Yan, maganda daw yan for meningococcemia. So these are the anti-TB agents. We don't need it in dentistry. So siguro it's just a matter of trying to remember the name, no? Kasi may questions sa board exams. INH. Ang tanong yata, INH is used for what type of infection? So it's anti-TB, anti-tuberculosis. Baka lang lumabas, no? Although sabi ko nga sa inyo, bago yung examiner, so dalawa yung examiner na bago, so you expect you'll have different questions. So since we don't really use it in dentistry, so it's a matter of siguro getting familiar with the name of the drug. Kasi usually ginagamit to for multiple choices. By the way, for tayong Filipinos, no, we Filipinos are very prone to primary complex. And if the child had primary complex during the childhood days, very prone siya sa tuberculosis. You know, during the early 50s, ang number one cause ng death in the Philippines was TB, tuberculosis. Now, TB ang dali-daling i-treat ng TB, di ba? It's very easy to treat but highly contagious. Alam niyo naman yon, no? So it's quite contagious but it's usually treatable before the advent of the antibiotic. No? Dati merong Quezon Institute. Yung mga TB patients doon nila dala, no? Kasi segregated sila. So, if for us Filipinos, kaya daw tayo very prone to TB kasi very prone tayo sa primary complex. Adults do not have normally. Ang primary complex, madalas yan sa bata. And pag magka-primary complex yung bata, very prone yan sa tuberculosis, sa TB. And these are the agents used, no? So, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Okay? Okay. Dami, no? And then you have antifungal agents, no? Kasi the most common adverse reaction or superinfection associated with antibiotic is fungal infection. So we have fungal infection that involves the skin. Sa atin, for dentistry, this is fungal infection of the oral mucosa. And the most common fungal infection of the oral mucosa is candidiasis. Candida. ang most of the time. Usually characterize that but ng ano yan eh, multiple yung stomatitis, parang stomatitis. Kaya nga, by the way, if it's bacterial, if the stomatitis is bacterial, hindi siya contagious. But if it's herpes, viral, or if it's candida, fungal, very contagious. Kaya nga importante, no, na sigurado ka lang. If you're kissing somebody with singaw, make sure it's bacterial. It's not fungal or herpes. Kasi highly contagious yan. And if you look at it clinically, it looks the same. You have singaw, you have stomatitis. No? So, for most stomatitis associated with fungal, it's caused by Candida albicans, or what we call thrush mouth. No? Ang drug of choice, di ba, it's nystatin. Okay? Mechanism of action is cell membrane permeability. One characteristic ng cell membrane, kasi di ba may pores ang cell membrane. This drug increases the pores of the membrane. So allowing important nutrient to come out of the bacterial cells, making the bacteria weak. Lumalabas yung importanteng substance dun sa cell, no? Kaya nagwi-weaken ang bacteria. So it does not prevent formation kasi may cell wall, may cell membrane na eh. Like us, no? May cell membrane na tayo. Ang bacteria, ang fungal, may cell membrane na. Magpo-form lang siya ng cell wall. Ang mechanism of action ng antifungal agents is they increase the pores in the membrane to allow important nutrients to come out of the cell, making the bacteria weak. No? It could be static or cidal, same. No? And usually, pag fungal infection, ang recommended is 2 weeks. Ang bacteria kasi 7 days. Ang fungal infection daw is 2 weeks. So, this is the recommended dosage for mycostatin. Comes in units, USP units. And for every 1 ml ng, it's around 400,000 units. By the way, I think I forgot to mention this. No? Baka lang lumabas sa board exam. What is 1 teaspoon? You remember?
5 ml.
5 ml, no? So 1 teaspoon is 5 ml. So this is more or less more than 1 teaspoon. So ang available preparation daw is 100,000 units per ml. So ang recommended dose for nystatin is 400 to 600,000 units 4 times a day for at least 2 weeks. Then you have other antifungal agents, no? Yung Nizoral, yung ano to? Head and Shoulder. Yung Nizoral. Kaya nga mahal, they call it medicated shampoo. You know, dandruff is fungal and it's very contagious. So, ingat kayo nagpapahiram ng suklay. No, kasi it's actually contagious. No? So, kaya mahal yung shampoo. No, kasi medicated yung shampoo. It's not ordinary shampoo but it's medicated shampoo para sa dandruff. Kaya mas mahal eh. No? And that's ketoconazole. Canesten is clotrimazole. For usually hindi naman ganun sa atin kasi hindi man natin kailangan. This is usually for for skin, fungal infection of the skin. Ano nga yung commercial ng Canesten? It's the the widely prescribed OTC antifungal agent, clotrimazole or Canesten cream. It's for it's used for skin infection, no? So sa atin, sa dentistry, it's more of nystatin. And these are antifungal agent for systemic or more severe types of fungal infection. Para at least alam nyo kung ano siya, no? O antifungal ba siya, anti-TB ba siya, So, although hindi naman natin, we don't really need it in dentistry. Okay, let's go to the antiviral agents. No, so antiviral agents is classified or classified in several ways. So you have for localized herpes. No, sabi if you need an antiviral agent, the most recommended antiviral agent is acyclovir. Kung meron kayong tatandaan, especially for board exams, ang pag sinabing antiviral, usually acyclovir, Sovirax. That's the most important drug to remember when it comes to the antiviral. Lagi yan lumalabas din sa board exams. Just like clindamycin, antiviral agents is very expensive. Remember what happens to COVID, di ba? Viral ang COVID eh. And how much is one, yung gamot nun during COVID? Medyo mahal, no? Sovirax is medyo mahal din yan kasi antiviral siya. So tandaan nyo lang si Sovirax. Baka lang lumabas sa board exams. Kung meron mang antiviral agent that you need to remember, it's acyclovir. Okay. Then you have treatment ng influenza A. No, dito yung tsaka ito, no? This was one recommended for tawag dito COVID, yung so usually narinig natin to during the COVID days. And then we have the ocular herpetic diseases. No? Yeah. Treatment ng and then din man nga natin kailangan. So, and then HIV, di ba we call it antiretroviral agents. Yeah. So these are the pang HIV. Okay. So, ang hirap talaga ng pharmacs. Ang daming gamot. Okay. Questions about antibiotic. So, in practice, ang kailangan lang naman natin is pen, erythro, tetra, cephalosporin, clindamycin. The other drugs, actually, it's just we don't really need it. We don't use it in practice, actually. Siguro, it's just nice to know na alam mo kung ano yung gamot. Okay. Let's go to another drug. Let's go to analgesic. Let's go to pain. Can you see the slides? Hindi. Hello? Can you see the slides?
Yes po.
Okay. So let's go to another problem in dentistry. Let's go to pain, no? Management ng pain. So if there is infection, we used okay, no? For infection, we use antibiotic, bacterial infection. For pain, actually there are two drugs which can be used for pain. You have the analgesic and you have the local anesthetic. So what's the difference between analgesia and anesthesia? So analgesia causes loss of pain without loss of consciousness, whereas anesthetic causes loss of pain and loss of consciousness. So what is pain? No? According to Monheim, this is pain. It's an unpleasant emotional expression, usually caused by noxious or toxic stimulus. This is the definition ni Monheim. Yeah. So they have actually discuss naman to ni Doc Anes, no? There are two nature ng pain. You have pain perception, and pain perception is physioanatomic process, no? So we have the same perception ng pain. What is pain to you is pain to me. How is pain produced sa iyo? It's the same way as it is produced sa akin. Pareho lang siya. But we have different pain reaction. So this is psychological process. And we have different ways of manifesting pain. Diba? So may mga patients which has a very high tolerance to pain. No? Merong mababa ang tolerance to pain. So although we have the same perception ng pain, we have different pain reaction. So this is the dual nature ng pain. No? And pain is what? It is subjective. No? So it's a symptom. So relieving the pain without actually treating the cause of the pain is palliative. Kaya pag nagsusulat tayo, when we write prescription for pain, sometimes we include if necessary. Kasi nga, it's palliative. Hindi siya talaga therapeutic unless you treat the cause of the pain. Okay. So there are several ways of controlling pain. No? One is, of course, removal of the cause. Another is by blocking the pathway ng painful signal. Local anesthetics, di ba? Ang mechanism ng local anesthetic is this. No? They block yung transmission ng pain stimulus. And then you can raise the pain threshold. Sabi nila, analgesic. So although analgesic and local anesthetic has the same reason, no, the same purpose, magkaiba ng mechanism of action. Anesthetics prevent pain by blocking yung pathway. Kakaroon ng depolarization, repolarization, no? And because of sodium, di ba? Kakaroon ng nag-change doon sa transmission. Ang analgesic usually relieve pain by increasing the pain threshold. Yung non-narcotic. No? Whereas the narcotic, usually they prevent pain by cortical depression. CNS depressants kasi ang mga narcotic analgesic. Di ba dalawang klase ng analgesic? You have the narcotics or the opioid agonists and you have the non-narcotic. So, kaiba rin sila ng mechanism. Non-narcotic, usually, they raise the pain threshold. Nawawala ang pain because it raises the pain threshold. Whereas the narcotics usually prevents pain by CNS depressant. Kaya nga, ang narcotic, hindi lang sila for pain, they are also classified as CNS depressant. And then, of course, you have psychosomatic purpose. No? Yung mga, alam niyo naman yan, yung mga hypnosis. So there are several ways of controlling pain. So these are the ways. No? Okay, one way of classifying pain is based on efficacy. It can be mild, which is used to relieve pain of mild intensity. You have moderate. These are used to relieve pain of moderate to moderately severe forms of pain. And strong analgesic are used to relieve pain of strong or severe. Most dental pain daw is mild to moderate. Ang kahit even if your patient complains na mamamatay na siya because of the pain, no? But most mataas lang siguro ang reaction to pain. Di ba may mga ganung pasyente, medyo takot sa pain, no? But according to studies, the type of pain that we experience, no, dental pain, is mild to moderate. That is why we don't need a strong analgesic. Pwede na tayo sa mild to moderate pain analgesic or non-narcotic analgesic. Ang strong analgesic is used to relieve pain of severe, usually yung cancer, yung talagang so painful. No? Kasi nga, remember yung efficacy? Pareho sila, but they have different, pareho sila in terms of purpose, but they have different efficacy. Iba yung level. Yan. Since most dental pain is mild to moderate, yung mga severe types ng pain usually require strong. Kahit doblehin nyo, as I explained yesterday, kahit isang banig ng biogesic ang ipainom mo, it will not be relieved. You need a stronger one. Kaya ginagamitan usually ng morphine. Hindi na kaya yung non-narcotic. Clear? Sa atin naman, since our pain is just mild to moderate, there is no need for us to use a strong analgesic. Okay, the more common way of classifying analgesic is based on content. So we classify as non-narcotic or narcotic. Another name for narcotic is called opium or opioid agonist. So agonist means the same or similar. So these are drugs which has similar effect as opium. Kaya opioid agonist ang tawag sa kanya. Non-narcotic, these are the characteristic, no? It relieves pain without, hindi sila CNS depressant, usually safer, fewer side effects, no? You don't develop addiction, and you don't develop tolerance. Most mild to moderate analgesic is non-narcotic. Most strong analgesic is narcotic. So, CNS depressant, no, it can cause physical and psychological dependency, and it really acts on the cerebral cortex. Ang non-narcotic kasi peripheral lang, does not cause, well, hindi yan nag-a-affect ng brain. Kaya pag sinasabi nyo nakakatulog sa Ponstan, supposed to be hindi. Kasi it's not CNS depressant. Peripheral lang ang effect ng non-narcotic. Unlike the narcotic. Okay. In the case of the non-narcotic, no, it can be used, it's good for analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory. Narcotic is only analgesic lang siya. It's only for pain. Ang non-narcotic, pain, fever, and inflammation. Okay, clear naman to, no? Okay. Let's go to the non-narcotic. So we have 3 types of non-narcotic analgesic. So you have the salicylates, para-aminophenol, and the NSAID, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So these are the different types of non-narcotic. Remember, non-narcotic is mild to moderate. Okay. So these are the salicylates. Yung oil of wintergreen, ano nga yung omega painkiller. Ano pa ba? Yung gustong-gusto nyo? Pag masakit ang ulo nyo? White flower. Yan. Those are methyl salicylate. Yung salicylic acid, this is used for warts, kulugo, or can be used also for kalyo. Kasi nagsusoften, no? So, yung methyl salicylate and salicylic acid, this is used for topical lang. The rest is can be used orally, but the form ng salicylate, which is used only for topical application, is methyl salicylate and salicylic acid. Yung ano yung isa, yung para sa pag masakit yung katawan nyo, efficacent oil, methyl salicylate yan eh. And you notice, iba yung may amoy, may distinctive smell. No, usually salicylate has may amoy. Ang tawag nyo doon, amoy matanda. So, mga ano yan, only for topical. No? But the other forms ng salicylate can be given oral. Okay. So alam naman natin kung anong gamit natin ng white flower, di ba? So salicylic acid is also, as I've said, it's used very good for kulugo, for warts, and it's can be used for softening yung mga kalyo. Di ba merong Band-Aid na merong pangkalyo? May salicylic acid yun eh. Also good for an-an. Ano nga yung an-an sa English? Yung tinea flavia, ang puti-puti na ano, you know what's an, di ba? So maganda ang salicylic acid for that. Okay, no? The most important salicylate used orally is aspirin, ASA. So pag narinig niyo yung ASA, it's acetylsalicylic acid or aspirin. Aspirin now is a generic name, hindi siya brand name. Kaya meron tayong Bayer aspirin. Si aspirin is a generic. It's not anymore a brand name, no? Or ASA, it's an acetylsalicylic acid. It's the prototype. So mechanism of action, it inhibits cyclooxygenase. So cyclooxygenase is it's an enzyme which is very important for the development ng prostaglandin. Enzyme siya, ACE, no? So it's an enzyme which is necessary para mag-develop ng prostaglandin. And prostaglandin have an effect on pain, fever, as well as inflammation. So no cyclooxygenase, hindi malilesen yung development ng prostaglandin, maglilesen yung effect ng pain, ng fever, as well as the anti-inflammatory. So yan yung ano niya, no? That's the relationship, no? Prostaglandin, although prostaglandin hindi siya pain, ang pain producing substance is bradykinin. Hindi siya ang nagpo-produce ng pain. No, yung substance daw that actually causes pain is bradykinin. Okay? But the pain that is produced by bradykinin in the presence ng prostaglandin is increased. So, aspirin or the non-narcotic analgesic prevents prostaglandin but not bradykinin. Kaya nga hindi siya ganun, it's not totally effective. May pain pa rin. Kasi hindi naman prostaglandin ang nagpo-produce ng pain. Nakuha nyo? It's a different substance, it's bradykinin. Yun lang, the pain that is produced by bradykinin actually becomes more kung may prostaglandin. And aspirin only prevents prostaglandin. Plus, mas maganda ang non-narcotic to be given prophylactic. Bago pa mag-produce ng prostaglandin, before the pain becomes so intense because of the prostaglandin, inuman na ng gamot. Para hindi na so that no prostaglandin will increase the pain sensation. Kaya hindi siya totally effective. Kapag sinabi sa Dok, masakit pa rin eh. Hindi naman siya totally effective. Hindi siya totally matatanggal. You get me? So it's related to the prostaglandin. Also, when it comes to antipyretic, as I've said kanina, di ba, the hypothalamus actually controls the body temperature. What causes an increase in the hypothalamus? What causes fever? What causes increase in body temperature? It's because of prostaglandin. Pag there is an increase in prostaglandin in the hypothalamus, the body temperature increases. So, since the drug prevents prostaglandin, no? It inhibits prostaglandin. So, it prevents yung rise in temperature. Kaya hindi maganda yung it's not a good sign off and on ang fever. Iba yung flu ha. Flu is viral. Fever. And flu is what? It's a viral infection. Fever, di ba? It's just a symptom. Alam naman natin, no? Alam nyo naman yon, di ba? Iba ang fever sa flu. Okay? So, fever, tumataas ang prostaglandin level sa hypothalamus, kaya tayo nag-fever. And the drug only prevents yung prostaglandin level, increase in the prostaglandin level in the hypothalamus. So, hindi maganda it's not a good sign na you have fever, iinom ka ng antipyretic. Tapos, pag hindi ka na, if you don't drink the antipyretic, nagpi-fever ka ulit. Yung may off and on fever. That means something is causing yung increase in prostaglandin level. Kasi sinasabing na, baka may infection ka. Kasi something is causing the increase in the prostaglandin level. And it might be because of there is an infection. Do you follow? Hello po. Naintindihan ako.
Yes po.
Okay, no? Kaya pag ganyan, no? Lalo na kapag yung, let's say, nagbunot ka, tapos ang complaint ng patient, Doc, nag-fever ako, no? So, tapos iinuman mo lang ng, o yung mga ganon na, kaya usually, di ba, tatanungin nyo sa patient, may lagnat ba? Nag-fever ba? Kasi pag may fever, tapos especially off and on ang fever, baka may infection. And kung may infection, not enough to get, it's not enough na nag-antipyretic ka lang. No? So I've explained what we mean by pyretic. It's against heat. No? And good, di ba, pag you have fever, tapos one way of eliminating the excess temperature is pinagpapawisan tayo. Kasi that is one way daw of relieving yung yung increase in body temperature. Same with the anti-inflammatory. It's still prostaglandin. So, yung inflammation, which is caused by substances, no, in the presence ng prostaglandin is actually increased because of the prostaglandin. So, nag-i-increase in redness, in swelling, no? Kaya maganda siyang anti-inflammatory because it reduces the prostaglandin and that causes a lessening in the inflammation. Okay. Questions? Okay. No, and then, in the case ng aspirin, meron siyang uricosuric effect, uric acid, and usually, di ba, but anong condition kapag mataas ang uric acid? Gout, no? And ang aspirin in high levels, in high dosage, actually decreases uric acid in the blood. Although, ang aspirin, in the case ng uric acid, aspirin has two effects. If you give it in recommended dosage, it increases uric acid. If it's given in high doses, then that's the time that the uric acid level in the blood is decreased. So if the patient has gout, actually hindi na yata ngayon ginagamit ang aspirin for uric acid. Probenecid na ang iba na yung anti-gout. But before, they use aspirin for uric acid. But it has to be given in higher dosage. The usual recommended dose ng aspirin is mga 500 eh. But if it's for uric acid, usually binibigay yan 1 gram, 1 to 2 grams yata for gout. No? Kasi kapag if the dosage ng aspirin is recommended, yung 500, mag-i-increase ang uric acid sa level. Mas maa-aggravate, di ba? So if aspirin is used for gout, has to be given in high doses, very high doses. Ang problema, the higher the dosage, the more toxic the drug becomes. So probably hindi na nila ginagamit. Okay? And it has platelet effect, no? Aspirin is a mild anticoagulant. It prevents yung cohesion o yung tawag nila doon, yung pagdidikit ng mga platelets. Di ba sabi nila, pag nasugatan ka daw, no, ano mong konti, di ba, you let it bleed konti para mag-release ng platelet. And what forms the blood clot? Yung platelet, they adhere to each other and they form the clot. Ang aspirin is a mild anticoagulant. It prevents the platelet from they prevent the platelet from adhering to each other. Kaya ka nagbi-bleed kasi hindi ka nagka-clot. And even in low doses, therapeutic doses ng aspirin, it is a mild anticoagulant. So, dati, no, I'm not sure now, no, But before, ang recommendation nun, if you have to do surgery on a patient under aspirin, you have to stop taking the aspirin for 1 week. Kasi may tendency for bleeding. So pag ang aspirin now is used to prevent yung blood thinner. Na sometimes they call it baby aspirin. So yung mga medyo elder patients, you ask for the history, baka they're taking aspirin not for pain, but it's more for blood thinner. Para hindi magpo-form ng clot. Ang problema is patient is very prone to bleeding. Imagine kahit nga recommended dose, as low as the recommended dose ng aspirin, it can cause platelet effect. It produces bleeding. Kaya nga if that is why if you take the history ng patient, if the patient is taking an anticoagulant, don't use aspirin. Although hindi naman natin siya ginagamit ngayon kasi nga meron na tayong mefenamic acid. Pero ginagamit pa rin siya for medical problem as a blood thinner. Usually yung low dose, mga 100 milligrams of aspirin, they usually ask patients to take it once a day, and that prevents blood clotting. Pero yun na nga, grabe ang bleeding. But it's very good for inducing bleeding. Ang tatandaan nyo aspirin is a mild anticoagulant, so be careful of yung extraction, or you expect na magkakaroon ng konting bleeding if the patient is taking aspirin for as a blood thinner. Nowadays siya nang ginagamit for blood thinner, aspirin. Okay, so these are the adverse effect. Ano ang penicillin? Penicillin is non-toxic but highly allergenic. Erythromycin is non-toxic, non-allergenic. Aspirin is toxic, allergenic. It's a very toxic drug. So it can cause GIT irritation kasi acid yan, Please do not take or you advise your parents na nagtitake ng aspirin, don't take aspirin in an empty stomach. It's very irritating to the GIT. One way of lessening yung GIT caused by aspirin, you drink plenty of water. Drink it with plenty of water. That will lessen the hyperacidity that is caused by aspirin. It's highly, they call it, it's actually toxic. And then it could cause hypoprothrombinemia. So bawal siya sa may peptic ulcer, any form of bleeding problems, usually not recommended ang aspirin kasi it can cause bleeding. Meron siyang effect on the liver and kidneys, although it's dose dependent. Not recommended for pregnancy and nursing kasi daw aspirin usually nakukuha ng milk. It's excreted in milk. So if the mother is breastfeeding, the baby might get the aspirin through the milk of the mother. And ang sa pregnancy kasi nga siya anticoagulant siya. It prevents daw yung fetus from adhering to the uterine wall. So mas madalas ang miscarriage. And then allergic reaction, hypersensitivity. Daming patient na allergic sa aspirin. Okay, Mild toxicity is called salicylism. So this is the sign, So ano naman yan? Remove the drug. Reversible naman siya. What is considered as the lethal dose? It's 10 to 30 milligrams. Yung talagang toxic. Mild toxicity is called salicylism and it's dose dependent. Remove the drug. No problem. Reversible naman siya. Be careful of aspirin kasi before I remember, it comes in several colors. Kaya akalin ng mga bata candy. Tapos masarap siya eh. It's actually masarap when you chew on it, no? Kaya nga very prone dati ang mga bata for toxicity ng aspirin kasi tapos iba-iba yung kulay, no? So be careful lang, no, for children kasi very prone to toxicity ang mga bata sa aspirin. So contraindications ng aspirin, any type of allergic reaction, any form of bleeding disorders, bawal sa may gout, bawal sa may peptic ulcer, no? So in cases of pregnancy, patients who are taking oral anticoagulant, patients who are taking oral anti-diabetic agents, not recommended for probenecid, sulfenpyrrazole, that this is anti-gout drugs, and methotrexate is usually, it's used for chemotherapy, usually ginagamit yan sa mga cancer. Yung may prevention yata ng cancer. So these are the contraindications ng aspirin. Why is aspirin important? Kasi kung meron na, if there is a drug that we use now, so we don't use aspirin now in dentistry. What do we use? Mefenamic acid, di ba? But if there is a drug which resembles aspirin, it's mefenamic acid. Kung meron mang gamot na kamukha ng aspirin, it's NSAID, especially mefenamic, constant. Okay. Kayo pa naman, gusto niyo nagbibigay ng constant. Tatanong ba kayo bago kayo magbigay ng Ponstan? So, wag niyong bibigyan ng Ponstan pag may history ng bleeding yung patient. Kasi remember, it's a mild anticoagulant. No? Wag niyong bibigyan ng mefenamic kapag may allergy, especially kapag may allergic reaction siya sa aspirin. Asthma, di ba? Asthma is a form of allergic reaction. So, ingat lang pagbibigay nitong mga gamot. No? Kung meron if there is a drug which is similar to aspirin, it's mefenamic acid. Okay? Okay. No? So, as I've mentioned, yung Reye's syndrome, no? Usually, children are very prone to Reye's syndrome. Siguro kasi mga bata, kailangan nila before candy siya eh, no? So, usually kapag nag-overdose ng aspirin, water. Drink plenty of water. It's a good analgesic, antipyretic, anti-inflammatory. In terms of anti-inflammatory, mas maganda ang aspirin sa paracetamol. Also, not recommended kapag ang condition is viral. Hindi siya maganda pag ang cause, if it's flu. So, kapag may fever, tawag dyan, ingat lang pagbigay ng mefenamic acid kasi baka hindi siya fever, baka it's flu. Hindi recommended kasi not recommended ng aspirin for patients who had flu, viral infections, no? So, like yung mga chickenpox, no, ano pa ba? Smallpox, iba viral infections yan. Hindi recommended ang aspirin for viral types of infection. So it's used for analgesic, antipyretic, no? Sometimes combined with other analgesic. No? Kaya meron di ba Advil ba 'yon? Dati, di ba it's a combination of acetaminophen and aspirin, no? So, be careful lang when you give medication to patient, especially if you're not familiar with the medication, you check the content. Kasi kung may aspirin, kasi sometimes aspirin is combined with other drugs. Dati nga merong APC, acetaminophen, phenacetin, caffeine, aspirin, caffeine, and phenacetin, no? APC siya. So, ginagamit yan as pain reliever. So, just be careful. Kasi baka mamaya may aspirin content. it's the aspirin that can cause allergic reaction. So, mas madalas siya in combination. No? So, checkin nyo lang. And remember, aspirin is allergenic siya. It's toxic and allergenic. Okay? So yeah, minsan kino-combine with antihistamine because of the inflammation, sometimes combined with mga respiratory drugs, and sometimes combined with caffeine. Merong gamot na, I forgot the medicine. May caffeine. May aspirin and caffeine. I forgot the brand name. Anyways, no? So this is the recommended dose. 625, 650 milligram every 4 hours if necessary. So when you write your analgesic, you always say, or you always tell the patient kung kailangan pa. Okay. Questions po? Okay. So, never mind. No? So, if there is a drug which is similar to aspirin, it's the NSAID. The next group of drug is non-steroidal. NSAID is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. And you have several types of NSAID. Lahat sila NSAID, different groups. No? So, asan yung ibuprofen, yung Advil? It's propionic acid. And then you have naproxen sodium, Flanax. Ako, me personally, I like Flanax. If I need NSAID, usually gusto kong effect ng Flanax sa akin. I don't like ibuprofen. I don't like mefenamic acid. So, if I have to take this medication, pinakagusto kong NSAID is Flanax. Kasi nagma-migraine ako. I suffer from migraine headaches. Ang maganda with the NSAID, aspirin kasi is a mild. Ang NSAID is classified as mild to moderate. Kaya maganda siya for dental pain. Especially kapag may inflammation associated with extraction. Di ba kuminsan, not because it's infected, but because of trauma. Maganda ang NSAID for that because it has good anti-inflammatory effect. Better than paracetamol. Paracetamol kasi is just analgesic, antipyretic. Wala siyang anti-inflammatory. So if the cause of the pain is muscle pain, di ba sometimes you do exercise, na over-exercise ka, so yung muscles mo medyo pain, mas maganda ang NSAID rather than paracetamol. Kung pain and fever lang, okay lang siya, but not as an anti-inflammatory. So we have different types of anti-inflammatory. So one is called the propionic acid derivative. Nandito ang ibuprofen, andito ang naproxen sodium. They belong to the same group. Sa dentistry, ito ang recommended. The rest, it's more for rheumatoid arthritis, for rheuma. But for dental pain, what is recommended is ibuprofen and naproxen sodium. The rest, it's more for rheumatoid arthritis. And that's the dosage. Kaya nga kung tatanungin ka, Dok, wala po akong ibuprofen, meron po akong Ponstan, pareho lang naman yan. It's just that they belong to a different group, pero pareho silang NSAID. Yung have you heard of Celecoxib, Celebrex? That's NSAID din yan eh. But it's supposed to be more higher ang anti-inflammatory. Pero it also belongs to the NSAID. So ang classification yan is NSAID. So you have the acetic salicylate, these are the other derivatives, hindi naman natin yan kailangan for dentistry, not recommended. And then you have phenamic acid derivative, you have Ponstan. So iba yan sa ibuprofen ha. But same NSAID. So mga not recommended for dentistry. Yun lang naman ang recommended sa dentistry. And then yun nga, remember, it's good, maganda daw ang NSAID for moderate, especially for dental pain. Yun lang, no? NSAID, kung may gamot, if there is a medicine or a drug which is similar to aspirin, it's the NSAID. Mechanism of action, pharmacologic effect, adverse effect is similar to aspirin. Almost the same. Kaya magtatanong muna kayo bago kayo magbigay ng Ponstan, ha, ng mefenamic acid. As for allergic reaction, as for any form of allergic reaction, any form of bleeding problems, kasi might be affected by the medicine. Okay? So, kasi tayo, hindi na masyado ang aspirin, di ba? Mas madalas what you use is mefenamic acid. Especially for Ponstan, especially for mefenamic acid. Very prone siya na magkaroon ng cross-sensitivity with aspirin. So kapag sinabi ng patient, ay, allergic po ako sa aspirin, huwag nyo nang bigyan ng mefenamic acid. Merong cross-sensitivity, no? High ang cross-sensitivity between aspirin and mefenamic acid. Okay? Okay. So what is the drug of choice for patient allergic to aspirin? Not NSAID. It's para-aminophenol. So acetaminophen. And I mentioned, di ba, acetaminophen is similar to paracetamol. So pareho lang sila, no? So iba ang paracetamol sa aspirin. It's different from NSAID, no? It belongs to it's another group which is called the para-aminophenols. So analgesic, antipyretic, but wala siyang anti-inflammatory. So, the most important tissue affected or organ which is affected is the liver. Hepatic necrosis, it can cause damage ng liver. Remember yung kinukwento ko sa inyo last time, di ba? Yung nagminom ng one banig of acetaminophen. Up to now, kakaroon siya ng problem with liver. So now, once in a while, she has to go to the doctor for yung sa liver. Na medyo affected ang liver. So supposed to be paracetamol is if erythromycin is the safest antibiotic. Paracetamol is the safest analgesic. Non-toxic, non-allergenic. Diba yung commercial ng paracetamol? Ano sabi ni Jody Santa Maria? Diba? It's it's actually non-toxic, non-allergenic. Even if you don't hindi siya nagkakos ng hyperacidity, hindi siya nagkakos ng change in blood pressure. So if you need a drug which is relatively safe, no, more or less safe, it's paracetamol. Even in pregnant women, no, hindi siya nagkakos ng teratogenic effect. So relatively safe ang para-aminophenol. Pero see, kahit na safe, may adverse effect pa din. And it can cause hepatic necrosis. Yun yung problem ng friend ko. Affected ang kanyang liver. Okay? Kaya hindi, tayo kasi, di ba, pag masakit, paracetamol. Masakit, paracetamol. So, dahan-dahan rin pag inom ng gamot. Okay? It can cause nephrotoxicity, pero that's long-term consumption, no? So it can cause hepatic disease, especially for patients with yung mga alcoholics and hepatitis. Anong local anesthesia ang liver? Di ba we have two types of local anesthesia? Amides and esters. Remember? Anong type ng local anesthesia ang medyo to be used in patients with liver problem? Ano siya, dito na metabolize siya sa liver. Diba what's the difference between esters and amides? Remember sa ANES? Anyway, next week yata ang ANES nyo, no? So, di ba we have two types, esters and amides? Ester are more prone to produce allergic reaction. Tapos, one difference between ester and amides, yung site ng metabolism. So, ester ang amide, ang liver. Kalimutan na?
For liver disease po ba, Doc?
Sa liver, ester
Amide po.
Amide po.
Amide. So, kasi bakit amide? Bakit liver? Kasi amide is basically metabolized in the liver. Whereas esters, kasi di ba, it's plasma and liver. So, in the presence of liver problem, be careful of using amides. Kasi naaapektuhan ang metabolism. Okay. So, same with, with the paracetamol, liver ang medyo delikado pag na-overdose ka. Kakaroon ng liver necrosis or hepatic necrosis. But di ba ang paracetamol nga OTC? Aspirin is you need prescription for that. I think even Ponstan, especially pag 500 milligrams, 250 pwede ata. But if it's 500 milligrams ng NSAID, you need prescription. Hindi siya over the counter. Ang acetaminophen is over the counter. Kasi nga, hindi naman siya ganun katoxic. Adult dose is 300 to 600 every 4 hours, if necessary. Questions po? Okay. Let's go to... May oras pa ako. I have 30 minutes. O gusto niya break na tayo and then we'll see each other at 1 o'clock?
Okay po.
Yes po.
O gusto niyo 12 tayo mag-end, then we meet at 1:30? Which would you prefer? Break na tayo but we'll meet early kasi ano pa lang it's just 12:30, 11:30 lang We'll meet 1 o'clock. Or you want break na tayo ngayon, but I'll meet you around 1 o'clock, ha?
Okay po.
Para we end early. Okay? Okay. Sige. I'll see you ng